Hi, I'm Dale Ross from the Dale Ross Realty Group. A few weeks ago, I was at an inspection with one of my sellers who insisted on being there during the inspection. Now, I never recommend that you as a seller attend the inspections when the buyer is having the home inspected. And I also, as an agent, never prefer to be there. And the following story I'm about to tell is exactly why. The seller is an engineer, right? So the inspector comes in, the inspector starts doing the inspection. This is a pretty good sized house. It's around 5,000 square feet, and an inspection on a 5,000 square feet home typically will take 5 or 6 hours. Well, unfortunately, the seller was following the inspector around, questioning the inspector about everything that he made a note on. The inspection ended up taking 9.5 hours, and the seller was challenging the inspector on some of the findings. Well, these inspectors follow a list that's been promulgated by the Texas Real Estate Commission. And they can take extra notes, but they must inspect the things on the list. The seller thought some of these things were kind of ridiculous, and I'll admit some of them are, but he got into a little bit of a, for lack of other terms, discussion with the inspector. And then the buyer showed up about 3 hours into the inspection, expecting it to be finished within that extra couple of hours. Like I said in the beginning, around a 5-hour inspection on a home this size. So the inspector and the buyer and the seller were there for an additional 5 hours beyond what is normal for an inspection of that size of home. So after the seller continued to follow the inspector around, well, so did the buyer and the buyer's agent. And the seller had a discussion about how the air conditioner was installed and just really got into an argument, there's no other way to put it at that point, about how the air conditioners were installed. And the buyer got a really bad vibe because of the seller arguing with the inspector and decided to terminate the entire transaction simply because of the seller's attitude toward the inspector. And this is a great example of why I recommend, as your real estate agent representing you when you sell the home, to not be at the inspections that the buyer is having on the property. So in the end, what happened is the inspector, of course, provided the inspection report to the buyer. The buyer sent it over to me, and I sent it to the seller. Well, now, that inspection report, although it's not all that bad, it's not as bad as what the buyer thinks it is because of the seller's discussion with the inspector. That inspection report follows that house for the next 4 years. So when the seller put that home back on the market, they were required to provide that inspection report with all of the deficiencies that inspector found as part of the seller's disclosure. So it's never a great idea for the seller to attend inspections on the property. When I can help with your real estate questions, please call me at 281-599-6575 or send me an email at rdr@daleross.com. When I use one of your questions, I'll send you out a gift card to a steakhouse as my way of saying thank you. Thanks for watching.